are all busy, folks, and sometimes that means putting our health on the back burner. But Molly, she doesn't want that to happen to any of us. She has crafted a plan for the busiest people, from executives to CEOs, and those who have to work with those long hours, like news people, I think. Well, welcome, Molly. Tell me, what is the secret, you think, to keeping everybody fit?
Well, really, I think it has to do with customization. You know, a lot of the trending diets these days are really focused on like rigid food rules, and that doesn't work. And, you know, my story actually started off with eating disorders in my teens, fought anorexia and bulimia for almost 5 years, and becoming passionate about health and fitness really came down to learning about the science of how to build lean muscle. So the nutrition science behind it, and also how to train strategically to build lean muscle. Also had 2 babies back to back in my early 20s. So having time condensed strategies has always been really important to me. And then was homeschooled for 12 years, so I've always had a really positive association with mentorship, and naturally wanted to teach other people what I learned from that
I love that you want to share what you've learned and how it's transformed your life. So talk to me about when it comes to coaching executives, you brought some really good before and after pictures about that. So kind of walk us through those transformations.
Definitely. So coaching executives actually came from working at a luxury health club over in Franklin in my early 20s. And I noticed that a lot of the local business owners, executives, ex-athletes that were working out at that gym, they were running into scheduling conflicts with in-person trainers. So I realized that that wasn't a very good model for them. Also realized that a lot of them didn't have support with nutrition, and getting into excellent shape is really about 80% nutrition. And the people who were working with nutritionists were dealing with you know, just the typical generic coaching of like, this is good food, this is bad food. And when it comes down to creating a toned physique, which is what a lot of my clients want to do.
Pictures are amazing.
And these are executives. These are people with packed schedules. They travel weekly. Building a toned physique really isn't about eating good food versus bad food. It comes down to eating foods that lower your hunger and also support lean muscle mass.
So are we talking more protein then? I mean, tell me a little bit about that.
Sure. So, I mean, as an example, well, first of all, you know, if you think about mainstream diets, I would say this is what's not working for people, and certainly what doesn't work for busy executives. If you think about diets like keto is essentially lowering calories through cutting out carbs. Going vegan, you're lowering calories through cutting out meat. Going paleo, you're lowering calories through cutting out processed foods. And that doesn't work because after you've lost some weight, we have survival mechanisms that are built into our bodies that make us eat all of the food back. And that's a huge problem. So as an example of actually what I would do, instead of focusing on cutting calories, which also doesn't work when you're cutting out foods like that and you have to eat at steakhouse dinners, you're eating in airports, these executives, and this goes for anyone with a busy schedule. Instead of telling my clients to just stop eating everything they're eating, I start with a nutrition audit, and this is an example of a nutrition audit. Okay, here's what I started with. This is one of my new clients, Paul. He's a healthcare executive, super busy guy, and if you look at the foods he was eating, they actually weren't bad foods, but he wasn't seeing progress. He's trying to lose the last 10 pounds. And so what I did notice for him is that he wasn't eating enough protein. Different for everyone, but for him, he's wanting to build a toned physique. And so I knew that his protein targets needed to come way up. And what's interesting, I don't know if there's an earlier slide, between week 1 and week 2, his calories were the same. For him, it wasn't about cutting out calories. But what we did do is we raised his protein a lot. And so it's, again, really more about eating the right foods that lower your hunger so that portion control is automatic and you can build a toned physique that way. So he had 4 pounds of weight loss in the second week from adding more protein.
Amazing, and the same calories. So let me ask you this, is helping executives make that switch with your process versus what's different and out there easy once they figure it out? I mean, talk to me about that.
Definitely. I mean, a lot of these guys, they already have very strong mindsets. So for executives, it's not as much about motivation and like, you know, cheering them on to get into the gym. Many of them are already spending more time than they need to, you know, doing things like cardio or cutting out a bunch of foods, and it's really not about that. With training, it's really more about reverse engineering a fitness routine to fit their schedules, the available equipment that they have, and sometimes that means just a set of dumbbells at a hotel, you know. And then again, with food, it's about eating more of the right foods that lower their hunger. And that way they can be in control of their portion sizes and make the right selections even if they're in front of a bunch of good food, which is common for them.
Well, I think what's common for a lot of people is, you know, there's so many choices out there. Any tips that you can give our viewers now of maybe just how to start tweaking their diet in general to help them lose some weight and kind of get jump-started into a good, healthy program?
Honestly, I would love to write a book on it someday. Protein
Do it.
is so powerful. Honestly, like, you burn off a lot of the calories you eat through protein just by digesting it. Also, Ozempic is a huge drug. I don't know if it's, hopefully it's okay to mention this. Ozempic, the way that it works, people need to understand the mechanism that works with Ozempic and why people sometimes lose any weight from it is because it makes you feel fuller. and you just eat less food. There's nothing magical happening in your body when you take the drug. And what's cool is protein actually has just as powerful an effect on your hunger if you can learn to eat optimal amounts of protein. And so people need to recognize there are other ways of, lowering your hunger and getting in control of your portion sizes. But yeah, I think that this is where mentorship comes in. People need sometimes practical ways of knowing how to do that within a busy schedule.
Well, Molly, we are so glad that you're out there to help people. So thank you. Check out Molly's mission. Just visit mollymakesmuscle.com.